Do you say the slash? Do you say birth/rebirth?
Ariel and I were debating.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to say whatever feels right.
Yeah, I think it's just birth, rebirth.
What's the point of the slash, then?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I hope that's what it is, because that's what we called it on our episode where we interviewed the director. So it would be embarrassing if that was wrong.
I feel like she might have corrected, or they would have corrected you. Sorry. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Birth, Rebirth. It's not a feel-good movie, John. It's not one of those. Something different. But joining me tonight, first up... Oh, I felt things, John. First up from the bucolic Pacific Northwest, please welcome Ariel to the show.
Hello.
It's the only time in my life I get to use that word, so that's why I like it. Next up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And, well, I can't call it John. I can't call it bucolic Manhattan. New York
Sure,
City.
but how do you know Indiana isn't bucolic?
It's not. I just picture the Pacific Northwest being that way, John.
Fair enough. Bucolic capital region.
We're more flat.
Welcome to the show, John. As we covered last week, instead of playing yes and, you like to play no or.
Hi, Eric.
No or.
Bucolic and rainy.
There you go.
It sure
Thanks.
is.
I should have grabbed some Tums before this show, John. I can't ever have Tums not in reach, and they're not in reach right now, and it's causing me stress, which is going to make my stomach hurt.
Do you mean before starting recording or before watching the film?
I just ate dinner, so all bets are off, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Pop a Pepsi.
Exciting. You know. Let's get into it here. Let's take a quick break and review Birth, Rebirth.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
Can somebody get this lady from Scrubs an acting gig that's not a nurse?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like an alternate universe version of that character or
A
something.
very dark
She's in the show Claws with DC Nash.
Mm-hmm.
She is not a nurse. You would not recognize Judy Grace in it.
Awesome.
Yeah, she plays Silent Anne. She's kind of a badass.
Love it. There you go. That's just me being ignorant, Casey, because I've only seen her in one thing.
I'm just sharing information, bud.
She's in a lot of episodes of Scrubs. Like, that's a fair anchor point.
She's great.
No,
But
I
I'm
totally
just like,
agree.
I wish she could do more stuff. All right, John, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, we had to go medical today. I went medical, as you guys probably could have guessed. The word is amniocentesis. Amniocentesis. Not a fun one. Not the kind of thing you want to necessarily hear about. amniocentesis. Could also be a good, spelling contest word. The sampling of amniotic fluid using a hollow needle inserted into the uterus to screen for developmental abnormalities in a fetus. Amniocentesis. This comes to us from the Greek. Well, so there's the word amnion, which I'm going to come back to, and then the Greek kentenon, which means to prick. Kentenon, prick. Amnion, though, also comes from the Greek amnos, which means lamb.
Lamb?
Amnion, yeah, amnion is like a more general word, which is the innermost membrane that encloses the embryo of any mammal, snake, or bird.
Thanks for mansplaining embryos to me, John.
I mean, is it a mansplain if you're
kidding.
doing it to another man? That's an Ariel question I'm actually asking.
I don't think so.
Nice. It's just like you're explaining something to another guy.
I mean, you might still be like a dick. But...
Yeah, no, you could still be a pedantic. You can be a pedantic asshole. That's like a different thing.
Right.
You're mansplaining to our audience more. I'm just
Yeah, no, totally. It's fine. It's what I'm here for, isn't it?
I'm just messing with you, John.
Yeah.
That's what you get for not playing Yes and with me. So, John, why don't you tell me about Rebirth while I go grab some
I
Tums
I
for my
feel like
tummy.
Ariel should do this because, as she mentioned pre-show, she may have interviewed the director, but I'll go very quickly and just say, this is and Ariel, you correct me if I'm wrong. It looked to be the directorial debut of Laura Moss, who is a director that uses they/them pronouns, as I learned before the show, thankfully, and I was quite amused looking over their IMDb page because some of the shorts that they have directed
Look really cool.
have amusing titles. Yes,
do.
and also look funny. They look good. I mean, the very first thing they have on their IMDb is called Rising Up, the story of the zombie rights movement.
Yeah, so that one's like a mockumentary. So it's done like a documentary of a protest movement almost, but it's all about zombies. Yeah.
Seems great. I got that from the title and would watch that. I'm someone who does not watch a lot of shorts, so
No, ma'am. I do not.
like the cut of their jib is what I'm saying. And so yeah, Rebirth. I believe they were also the writer of this
Co-writer,
film?
yeah.
Co-writer. Okay. And sorry, I'm back. I'm now back. Excuse me while I hit the back button on my browser here to get to the previous page. But yeah, so this tells the story. I would say it tells the story of two central characters. One is named Rose. Rose is a medical examiner in a hospital in the Bronx. The other is, as Eric was sort of joking about, a nurse. No, wait. Now I'm looking at the list. Judy Reyes, right? That's the
Yeah, she's a labor and delivery nurse.
So yeah, she's a nurse at the same hospital. She's also a single mother who we learn she has a daughter who's I believe eight or nine, and she had delivered through IVF. I mean, which isn't super important. Only it sort of becomes relevant, I would say, in the sort of narrative of the film. So these are two characters existing in this hospital, operating on sort of separate narrative tracks to a certain extent. You have Rose, who we see doing interesting things, including removing body parts and other material from the hospital in a suitcase that she sort of takes to and from the office. And then you see Judy Reyes' character. Her name's Celia? Cecile? Celie,
yeah.
Celie. We see her sort of living her life with her daughter. And it's, she's a single mom. She works as a nurse. Her nursing shifts are long. The daughter stays at the hospital in a childcare facility, when she's working most of the time. And then we see them commuting. The action of the film sort of kicks off when the daughter gets sick, can't go to the hospital, facility. So she leaves her with the neighbor. She has this long, harrowing day during which the neighbor is trying to call her, can't get a hold of her. And basically the daughter goes from being kind of sick in the morning to just dead in the evening. She, it turns out, had bacterial meningitis, I believe. And so she dies. She is sent to Rose, the medical examiner. Rose removes her body from the hospital in her bag, and we then learn the upshot of all of the sort of secret experiments with all these body parts that she's been doing is that she has figured out a way to bring dead things back to life. And so this daughter of Celie is the first human that she's ever tried this on. She does have a pig that is living in her apartment, who she had successfully revived from death. And So yeah, that's sort of the tee up. Nurse Seeley sort of is trying to track her daughter's body down, and only through that eventually arrives at Rose's apartment and then discovers what's going on. And then what the rest of the film is really built around the two of them in this very interesting relationship where they have to do a lot of nefarious things to further explore the ability to keep this daughter alive after she's been revivified. And we can get into the science of that and like what exactly that entails. But it's stuff, one might say. So that's it. That's the tee up.
Ariel, what'd you think?
So I really love this movie. This is the second time I'm seeing the film, and I actually think I liked it even more the second time through. It's a hard movie, like emotionally, it's a tough one to get through, but I really enjoy it. And I think that even if you go into this knowing it's like a twist on Frankenstein, I think that the way that the movie does that and what it chooses to focus on is unexpected and interesting. I also think that the way that it handles like motherhood and birth is super subversive and really interesting, like very feminist. I really appreciated all the sort of conversations that are happening about motherhood and pregnancy. And then on top of that, like Marin Ireland and Judy Reyes are both incredible actors. They are so good in this. And the relationship that the two of them form is kind of the most fascinating part of the movie and probably my favorite bit. But yeah, I loved it.
Casey.
I was quite impressed with this movie too. I wasn't sure, other than like the plot drop on IMDb, what I was getting into, and it's a pretty straightforward, simple plot drop out there. Kind of not different, pretty much on par with what Schnars just told us here too. So going into that, knowing that as my basis of knowledge of this movie, going into it, this movie went places I was not expecting, mostly around Judy Ray's character, which I thought was really cool. I did not expect her reaction to when she found out what Rose was doing in her apartment. I did not expect this is spoilery, but I did not expect her to get on board and not freak out. So that threw me for a loop, which had me like then, and that happens fairly early on in the movie. So then the rest of this movie is then heightened for me because you don't know. I mean, they already blew me out of the water where I thought they were going to go. They went a different way, and now I don't know what to expect. And so I think that adds a ton to this movie for me. And I think I like a lot of the things that Ariel brought up too. I think the subversiveness that you mentioned is probably kind of that twist that happens with Ray's character and whatnot. And like you said, wonderful performances there. Marin, what is her last name? Alexander?
Ireland,
sorry. Marin Ireland, I am so impressed with this movie. I've seen her in a lot of TV shows. I know she was in Sneaky Pete and other movies we've watched. She just went all in on this character, and from the very beginning, I thought she was channeling Angela Bettis from May on this. And then she went further and took that whole concept even further. And the stuff that her character did and the way the life she brought to it, like there's the idea of the pregnancies or how they're getting the materials and stuff like that. Just like, oh my God, where did this person come up with this idea? This is freaky. So I was really impressed. This was a surprise for me this year, and I'm glad we watched it.
John.
Yeah, I ended up liking this a lot too. The thing that I was feeling while going through it is there's a whiff of the Cronenbergian going on here, I think, right? I mean, in terms of this is not a straight horror movie, right? Like it's not what I mean is like there's not a monster necessarily that's stalking people. I mean it does not sort of play by that straight horror genre playbook. It's pretty strange. It's very character driven. I totally agree that these two main actresses, I mean, they like to say they carry the movie is like silly. Like they are it's written for them to carry the movie, and then they do an amazing job at it. I agree. I think of the two, Judy Reyes was like I mean, maybe it's like unfair. She had sort of like the more emotive role to play, whereas the Rose character, Marin Ireland, is like she's like the weird, crazy, the crazier one, and so she's going through sort of a different arc, and not one that has as much sort of I don't know, like she's not asked to like do as much emotionally necessarily. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I agree that like the relationship between the two of them is sort of the most compelling thing. I think we should talk about the fact that like we should talk about the ending, because the ending is, it leaves you in a very specific spot. I sort of like that it doesn't necessarily do anything big and wild, right? Like, even when you talk about what the girl, the zombie, whatever, this poor little girl's name, and like
Lila.
also Lila, great acting performance, like, not like a straight up role for a child actor, but what she's not just like a cartoonish zombie, doing crazy shit. It's like a much more nuanced thing that's happening, which leads these actresses to like respond to her in more nuanced ways. I don't know. It's a really, really cool movie. I didn't know what to expect, and it was definitely different than what I expected.
Yeah, John, you may be surprised to know, I agree with all you guys.
Whoa.
Good thing I'm sitting down.
I just blew Ariel's mind right there.
I was very anxious, and
Oh
Eric,
my god,
I mean,
John was so nervous that this movie was just gonna take me out. Like,
Yeah.
this movie,
I
like
can
I was
see
not
why.
gonna be able to handle it.
We're just
Get
worried
it.
about you, little buddy.
Get it? I would, just because I'm annoying like this, I like to reduce things to like what they reminded me of.
it's a great.
This
start
is
to
like, it's like elevated Reanimator meets Pet Cemetery. And I like the May comparison, but I see a lot of Herbert West in this character, and I feel like there's like direct Reanimator influence going on here. Whereas like Herbert West in the 80s is just like, his whole deal is like, he's socially awkward. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else. He only cares about this like scientific vision. But what we have here is like,
Frankenstein. Right,
yeah,
Ariel?
but what Herbert West in that Jeffrey Combs performance is a very specific kind of thing. When you filter that into this film, but you apply like a realistic lens to it, like what it looks like is she's autistic, right? Like she does not like care for or understand like social conventions. We see how like she just does not, she cannot read a room. Right, like, and she doesn't care to. Like when she's talking to other people, she's so brusque and like abrasive early on, even right before we even like see.
The
kind of,
first
like, all
time
the
you
shit
see
going on.
her interact with her coworker is,
It's
I
wild.
mean,
Yeah.
I was amused. I was laughing.
Like because the coworker is looking for empathy and maybe some type of emotional support for she's got to go tell this family something, and she's like, no, tell them we lose bodies all the time. Like,
Oh no, I was talking about when
Oh.
she was yelling at her male counterpart who had to like
yes.
leave to go to the school because his kid bit someone, and she's like, "Well,
Your wife's already there."
Yeah, his mom's already there. What are you talking about?" And
right,
he's like,
and
"Oh,
so that's kind of what I mean.
okay."
It's like if you took that over the top, almost theatrical performance of Jeffrey Combs, and you like okay, it's like filtered down a level to be more realistic, and obviously like it's a woman, not a man, so it like changes the dynamics. I just love it, and the like undersold thing about this movie is it's like kind of funny. Like I will say most of that peters out after the first half. Like the second half of it is much darker. But like even in that first half, and it's a lot from that character. It's a lot
Yeah.
from her interactions. And I think there's just like
when
great-
she's
so-
using the breast pump to manually ejaculate a man.
Yes,
in
that's a
in
funny
fucking-
scene, right?
I mean,
It's a sex toy. Don't look. But like, I, as a person who my favorite show of all time is Breaking Bad, right? It's like my comfort food show, and people always go to me like, "Oh, I don't understand how you do that. It's so bleak." And I'm like, Yes, in some ways, but it's like one of the funniest, bleakest shows ever. Like, there are so many just straight comic relief characters in that show. There's so much good comedy all throughout it that, like, and that's sort of, I felt that here. It's so dark, but it knows enough to sprinkle in some levity. And it also just, a lot of like elevated, very emotionally heavy horror movies to me get so bogged down in the whatever their issue is or their symbolism that they kind of forget that it's a movie. And this doesn't do that. Like, there is drive to the plot, there's purpose. All the characters have a reason to be there. They all are interacting in really interesting ways. It does choose to be understated. Like, when you talk about a Pet Sematary connection, they really choose to have the daughter not be like a Gage style monster. It's pretty subtle what's wrong with her, but it's clear, with the exception of like one scene.
There's one scene, yeah.
But it's clear that like she's just not right. It's much more about the emotional motivators that are pushing her mother to do like kind of more darker and darker things to keep her going, even though it's really just a shell of a person, right? So like it becomes less, and I'm a person like I like things to be genre-y, so I'm always like, come on, like let's cut somebody's Achilles tendon or something. But like, I get it, like that's not what this is. But again, like for what it is, and it's a thing that is not necessarily in my wheelhouse of things I love. It's really well done. It moves. It has purpose. It's very emotionally impactful. That first act, I mean, you talk about it being bleak. To me, the first act is the bleakest part of it, with the exception of the very end. But man, like just that brutality of all that stuff about like her phone wasn't working and she was relieved because it was like relief from the pressures of being a single parent and her kid dies. Like that's just like, that's Beau is Afraid level, like anxious thoughts coming true, right?
Well, and it's an extreme thought, but it's a thought that every parent's had at one point early on.
Yeah.
I think Ariel, you mentioned it, but this movie, again, for something that's not an out-and-out genre film necessarily, but it has a lot of things it is saying and or exploring when it comes to, I mean, you mentioned motherhood, 100%. You have the relationship between Rose and her mother, which is pretty complicated and central to what Rose is up to. You have then everything that's going on with Celie, and like, I mean, that ultimately becomes the main thrust of the narrative. And then the other thing that I found really interesting is like, the way this approaches motherhood or like pregnancy and like the healthcare complex that has been built up around pregnancy. It's such like it is not a perspective you see on film at any level.
No, it's not. I mean, I think the way that pregnancy is usually perceived and like shown in film and in TV is like with rose-colored glasses. Everything's like sort of beautiful and wonderful, and we tend to shy away from showing the brutality and the gruesomeness that pregnancy can be for women. And I think that what this movie does so brilliantly is like there is biting critique here about how we don't take care of women through this process and how we don't take care of women once they've had the baby and our mothers, right? That society just kind of ignores that struggle. But also the way that hospitals treat you too. Like, I mean, you can look at statistics and see like how women are treated in hospitals and how many women die in pregnancy because they're not listened to, they're not heard, they're not believed. And this movie shows it so well. Like there's a scene where a woman is giving birth in the beginning of the movie, and the doctor's like gonna do an episiotomy and the woman's like, no, just like give me a second to try to do this on my own. And he's not gonna listen until Celie's character is like forceful about it. He was just gonna do it without her permission.
I was gonna bring up that scene also, like that. I mean, that resonated with me with the experience that my kid's mother had. Like I remember going to birthing classes with like a doula, so that's like it's just like basic education because you don't know what you're doing in the first time. And I remember her saying like, when you're in there, saying to the husbands like, you guys need to have the discussion beforehand about what her boundaries are, what her goals are, like where her lines are. Because once you're in there, like she's incapacitated, and you basically have to speak for her. So like you have to be ready and willing to jump in to like be that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like,
absolutely.
so
'Cause
that is a moment that feels very poignant.
Well, that doctor was just like trying to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible. I mean, you're
Yeah.
right
And
here.
that's
Like
not an uncommon experience
Right.
that
No.
women have in hospitals. And
Yeah.
there's also like the C-section scene that happens
Even just
later
the
in
scheduling
movie.
of C-sections. And,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all on somebody else's schedule, not your own. But when they remove the baby from her body and she's, they're saying, your baby's going to be okay, your baby's going to be fine. And she's like, what about me? And nobody answers the question.
Well,
Like,
that's
nobody
the
gives a
first
shit
scene in
about
the
her,
movie.
That's
right?
the opening scene, right?
Yeah.
Now, that, though, is problematized or revisited in a different context, like obviously later in the movie.
Man.
But yes, that's super bleak. I mean, I think even the character of Rose and sort of because she's not a normal doctor. She is a doctor, but she's not like the doctor you see in movies. She's a medical examiner, effectively.
Yeah.
Like she's working in the morgue or whatever the hell they call the like. I think it's the morgue, right? Like when you die in a hospital, they still take you to whatever is a morgue.
Yeah.
Pathology.
Yeah, pathology, right? Because
That's what they call it in the movie.
Yeah, well, because I remember like at one point she's like, "Oh, well, we sent that person." It's when Celia's daughter dies, and Leela, and they're like, "Oh, well, she went to the medical examiner." I was like, "Wait, isn't she the medical examiner?" But in any event, she even just like her ability to do things that she shouldn't be doing, and sort of I don't know. It does not. The film does not make you don't leave feeling great about medical profession or the way that our like medical system operates here in the United States.
No,
period,
but
I'd say.
I do appreciate like the critique for sure. And then also I think, the character of Rose is so interesting because she's this scientist who's trying to like bring people back to life, right? Like create life that way. But she also uses her own body to create life that then feeds these experiments. It's so interesting. And I don't know that I have ever seen like an abortion take place like that on screen before,
No.
where then the fetal tissue is shown later.
No,
like, I
Yes,
don't think
that.
I've ever seen
Oh, that shot of the pot jar on the shelf was just like, oh my god.
so good.
Yeah.
I love that actress. I think she.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love. Forgive me, Scrubs lady as well.
She-
And a lot of it is like it's their differences and their give and take. But that performance is very intense and also funny and like it's very layered.
Well, yeah. Well, especially though, as much as Rose is emotionalist because she's clinical and she's a scientist doing her thing, Judy Ray's Celia is the exact opposite of the spectrum. She's very loving and very nurturing.
Right. She's like a sort of loving nurse.
She's
like,
the
nurturing
prototype, sort of,
archetype.
yeah. Ariel, I just wanted to respond because the thing you said was one of the things that I was thinking about the most. So, in effect, this is like a pretty straight Frankenstein story, right? The difference is, and this was the thing that, so, like the all of the narrative tension effectively becomes or is built around the fact that what they need is certain types of material which allows these like dead bodies to replenish themselves. But as you sort of mentioned, like the material they most need is material from like newborn or aborted, like things that have to do with life creation in and of itself. So rather than invest her energy, I'm talking about Rose, in improving whatever, like pregnancy care and like maternal outcomes and like solving for that, she's instead focused on harvesting aborted fetal tissue and stem cells to
I was gonna say,
keep alive. In the case of Leela was a child, like she died and like it was tragic, but like we also like we know what's driving her is the fact that she was trying to she wanted to like keep her mother alive, who was frankly like, I mean, I can't remember exactly the terms of she died of Parkinson's actually, I think, right? So, but basically it's just like such a, I don't know, there's like a perverted perverse mentality at the center of that, right? Of like,
interesting.
we need to harvest these things, like this, like proto-humans, or like, in the case of the woman who they're fucking with around her own pregnancy,
Oh,
like
Lord.
that's
All
like
that
an
stuff.
actual like woman who has like been trying to conceive, and like they're using her as fuel to keep alive
Right. I
Leela,
mean, it's
who's
like
like
they're
not
both-
a human at this
Both
point.
of them are sort of like blinded in different ways, and
Yeah,
it leads both of them
totally.
to doing like unethical
Yeah.
things.
Well, it really is a spectrum between them, and they are both on opposite ends of that, but they are blinded in the same ways, kind of the same motivations as far as like the focus of that motivation, but they have their motivations that are different motivations are driving to it. It's just kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I'm trying to like Chris, like that. The perverseness of this film is that I guess they're like destroying life or destroying life force in the service of death, right? Like in the service of
Yeah.
like keeping alive
Yeah.
something that is
So-
dead.
And the lengths that they go to do that, because like what earlier you brought up earlier, the idea of Rose using her own body and to start these pregnancies to get the fuel for experiments, to me is like the true crux of the horror of this movie, and then extended by the horror of what the two of them do to this other lady who just happens to be a patient at that hospital.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the kind of the most fascinating part about this film is that they went that far and showed so much of it on screen. And the director, when we interviewed them, said that they wanted to kind of explore this idea of like Dr. Frankenstein, but what if Dr. Frankenstein was a woman who actually could create life with their body? And what would that look like? And also that they were getting to an age where they were seeing like all of their friends around them have to make decisions about their own body, whether they were going to try to have kids, decide definitively that they weren't going to have kids, try IVF, go through miscarriages, all of that, and kind of seeing both like the joy and horror that comes with those experiences. And I think you get both of those things in this film.
Oh yeah.
I hadn't thought, it's kind of a funny, like I had never thought of that dichotomy of like Dr. Frankenstein being somebody so obsessed with like creating life when like women just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it given the era that was written in and stuff, like that's pretty interesting.
Right. Well, and also like the director was saying that like Mary Shelley, when she was writing or before she wrote Frankenstein, went through like I think a couple of miscarriages herself, and that experience like informed a lot of the writing. So
Going on with the Frankenstein notes, though, that's what made the performance of Lila, the young girl in this, so impressive. Because I love she was totally Frankenstein's monster, and the way she progressed after she came back and they brought her back, and you see the gradual, cognitive skills coming back and stuff like that. There was a couple times, like the first time they showed Celia giving her a bath, I think in the bathtub, and you heard Lila mumble, and I swear to God, it sounded like mom or mama, and it just kind of gives you chills at that point because we've watched her progress so slow. It's like, oh Lord, she really is coming back.
That scene when Celia's singing the song. What's the song? Maybe one of y'all remember. It's like a song. I mean, if you have kids, you
yeah,
sing
it's like
the
a
song.
nursery rhyme or something.
Yeah, and it's brutal the way that sequence plays out.
Right.
And
I mean,
that's-
because like the original Frankenstein deals so much towards the end, especially with like the humanity of the monster, right? So it's
Right.
interesting to get these glimpses of the little girl's humanity coming back.
Well, to me, that part falls apart a little bit. Like they clearly not give up, but there's a bit of they decided they had to abandon that or go, focusing on Leela's humanity toward the end. I mean, look, one of the most fucked up scenes in this movie is when what's her name? Rose, I think it's Rose, comes back into the apartment. She realizes that Judy Reyes is not there, and she's like, fuck. She sees the bed is empty, and she goes to, there's like a refrigerator, and she opens it, and the girl's body is in there because
Yes.
essentially she had died. But this is when Judy Reyes sort of in desperation, goes to the most extreme lengths to try to get the material to bring her back to life. And so she basically allows her to die, puts her back in the freezer, and then is like, then we get, that's like the tease up the very final sequence, basically.
That whole scene, or that whole sequence there that gets teed up by her putting Lila in that freezer and Rose discovering it was like the most jaw-dropping moment of this movie for me, because the lengths that Celia goes to wraps back around from the opening scene we saw of this movie. And so we've seen this happen with the lady on the delivery table and Celia talking to her at the very beginning of the movie. And then all of a sudden we realize that what's actually going on in that scene, and it really kind of blew my gourd. It's like, oh my God. Yeah.
Scene.
It's the same exact scene.
I didn't put that together.
Yeah, so the whole movie was the flashback leading up to that for opening scene.
That shit is brutal, and that scene's actually, that ending scene is edited really brilliantly. I loved how we see her take a sip of tea, and then it immediately cuts to like she's on the ground seizing. Like, that's really jarring, and then it's like it jumps in time. Then we're like in the hospital, and like that actress's performance right before she like passes is like so intense, so good.
Yeah. She's great in general.
Nuts.
I thought she was really good. You know.
To me, the two jaw-dropping moments, it's that, but it's also when back at the end of the first act when she discovers that she has her kid in the like my jaw actually dropped when that happened, and I was like, what? And like that, man, that's a point in this movie where like, because the whole, there you go, you've revealed your big thing. The thing really could have gone sideways at that point, right? Because like then you have to figure out what's next. But they do a really good job the film does a really great job of figuring out what's next, I guess. Like, it never feels like it's meandering.
Yeah. And it never feels like the director didn't know where they were going and they just kind of tacked on an ending. It never feels like that at any point. This all feels very well planned out.
It's like, I know I complain about this shit a lot, but when movies meander and I can feel it, this is what my brain goes. My brain was like, well, if you don't give a shit what's going to happen next, why should I care? So I'm going to check out because you did.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I get that. No, this
so I appreciated that about this movie, that it has, it's got a straight line that I liked.
Yeah, and for me, I think the lasting impression that I had after I watched it the first time was really just the relationship between the two women. I mean, there's a lot of shocking things and subversive things that happen in this movie, but I do think that the evolution of their friendship is really cool, where they're sort of like begrudging like partners in this science experiment at first, but they just get closer and closer to where they almost become like life partners to each other and are relying on each other for things. And I think one of the most heartwarming moments is when Rose's character actually like opens up and tells her that starfish story about her mom, and then later you see that Judy Reyes's character sends her like a picture, like texts her a picture that her little girl had like painted a starfish the year before, and you see her smile, which you've like never seen her smile before, and her coworker even comments on it. I mean, I think that's sort of beautiful that like their friendship and partnership has grown so much over time that like Celia is the only one who can like bring her that happiness, you know?
Well, I also think, and I am crediting the writers with this being an intentional. I'm sure it was intentional at some level, but I thought it was pretty well handled. I think character-wise, they also grow toward each other, which is to say, Rose is like this extreme. I mean, Eric described it as like autism spectrum, and then the Celia character is like the polar opposite, sort of caring nurse character, and by the end, Rose is. There's the moment when Rose realizes that Celia's done something like really grim to sort of keep this going. She's sort of like crestfallen for like how far Celia has come, and in the inverse, like Celia is giving zero fucks about this woman who is pregnant, who she's doing horrible things to. And because at first she's trying to like do as little as possible that's bad and still get away or still get what she needs out of it. But as she's pushed further and further, she sort of moves further and further toward Rose and her sort of mentality of like anything for this
Well, yeah,
experiment.
she surpasses her in that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and ultimately, yes.
Yeah, I think watching her daughter die a second time, or like having her daughter die a second time, just pushed her over the edge. You know.
Yeah, but the way, like you guys are saying, that the way they grew that relationship between Celia and Rose too, it wasn't like all of a sudden, well, we're in this quirky situation, we're going to be roommates and best buds. It was gradual, and they dropped little nuggets. Like it stood out to me. There was probably what felt like what would be like 3 days or something, a couple visits from Celia after they got into the swing of things, and Rose had come home from work and Celia was leaving, and she's like, oh, well, I did this, and I made you your salad, it's in the refrigerator. Just little bits like that to show how that they grew throughout the course of that movie. They got more and more. It's really well
or
written.
Like teasing Rose about being a vegetarian, but
Yeah,
doing
they
all
could
the
start
things she's doing.
They start teasing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Word.
Pretty good.
No, I was surprised. I guess it helped that you.
I wasn't worried, Eric, that you were gonna it was gonna fucking melt your brain or something.
You're specifically very concerned that I was going to watch it right before the show.
Well,
which
I was
often
concerned
do.
because I do think this is a movie that takes a little more processing.
Yeah, it
than
takes some time
a
to
lot of-
think
a
on
lot
it.
of things that we've watched, especially this year, for the love of God. So, it's no Nun 2, is what I'm trying to say. So, Ariel, did Laura Moss say anything about what they are working on next? Because I'm very interested. I'm on board.
Yeah, so they have things in the works, but couldn't expand on it too much. So
Okay.
definitely going to be directing more.
It's a full length version of what was it called? Porn Without Sex or something. One of one of their shorts. Sounds good.
All right. Love it. Would you recommend this movie? Ariel,
Yeah, absolutely.
John,
Yes.
Casey.
You betcha.
Same. And I think it's going on my top 10 list, John. So let's
Ooh, that's exciting.
take a quick break. And do
Oh
just
no!
that.
What'll happen if we have to bump whatever? I can't even remember what ridiculous movie you had. It's like some. All right, let's get to it. Go ahead.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Let's take a look. I actually, John, while you were talking earlier, specifically you.
I could tell you weren't paying attention, so
Well, I mean, we've known each other
as
for many,
expected.
for many years, John. I did a little tweaking on my list here. So here's where I have the list right now. This is with Birth, Rebirth. I have Beau is Afraid, number 1. Number 2, Megan. Number 3, Haunting in Venice. Number 4, Birth, Rebirth.
Ooh,
Number 5.
that's back to back 3 and 4 back to back weeks.
Number 5, back up the list, John. Infinity Pool.
Nice.
Number 6,
Okay.
Last Voyage of the Demeter. Number 7, Scream 6. Number 8, Knock at the Cabin. Number 9, Talk to Me. Number 10, Evil Dead. I'm looking for any excuse to get rid of Talk to Me or Evil Dead, because I don't care for either of those movies really. So help me out, horror.
Interesting.
Good lord, help me
Saw
out.
X, dude. We're weeks away from Saw X. So, Ariel, you should have
My
seen
God,
us trying to
Saw
get a
X.
comment
Jesus.
out of Rachel about Saw X. She's very good on the embargo. She does not.
You cannot mess around with those.
No, I know you will get in trouble. It's
Oh,
I
yeah.
understand it.
They'll never
So,
talk to you again.
Yeah, but
All right, so I
Makes
was
you feel any better. She
actually
hasn't told me either. So
okay.
I actually
Slightly better.
forgot to put out socials today, John.
Well, we're gonna dock your pay this week, so
But
you know.
I did once again, John, while you were talking, sent them out.
I appreciate that you wait till I'm talking. Like, don't ignore or not pay attention for Ariel or Casey, but I get it.
We got some questions on YouTube. Let's hit those up first. Levi, Rose was quite the obsessive in this. What's your recent obsession?
My
Do you obsess over
obsessions,
things, John?
usually for me, I just need to find a mobile game that I can play while I'm commuting. I'm commuting here in New York City. You're on the train, give or take 20 minutes each direction. I love a good mobile game, and so I find something,
Yeah.
I play it till I like legit am just sick of it, and then I move on. And so
I enjoy
write some
traveling. Like, would you do the same on a plane?
Usually not. Usually with a plane, I'll either have my Switch and I'm like playing real video games, or I'll try to like read or watch a movie.
I will often just stare straight ahead like a psycho and just sit in my own movie, which is for somebody who constantly struggles with distraction. It's kind of incredible that something just switch flips when I get on a plane where I'm just like boom, and I'm just like
Dude,
locked
Couldn't
in
do
with
it.
the
you're
universe.
fucking they might put you on a watch list if you keep doing that. Jesus.
Like, because I used
Okay.
to for years where I'd be traveling and I'd like bring all this shit and be like, okay, I got this book and I got my Switch, and then I would do nothing. I would just sit there.
I love it because it's like you can't you have to like have something to do. I will not just sit and stare, although occasionally I'll take a nap. But I like
do-
the fact that it's like you can't fuck around. Like you can be distracted, but you're in that seat. So
You might as well be doing whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Read a
enjoy
book.
like a good seat back screen where I can just watch some dumb, you know what I like? I'll be like, where's my Top Chef? I don't even watch Top Chef, but I used to love that show because I don't have cable.
Yeah.
But like I get on a plane, give me a couple Top Chef episodes, we'll get there in no time. We're good.
So we haven't answered the question about what everyone is obsessed about right now. Mine is mobile games. Currently, Slay the Spire, which is now on iPhone. It's on Apple Arcade. So I've played more hours than I care to talk about on that game overall. But now it's on the phone, so I play that. There's these like retro sports games that I've been playing on the phone, and also obsessed with those. Those are my mobile.
When you
games.
say retro, what are you talking about? Like Tecmo Bowl or something?
There's one called it's called like retro football, and then the other one's called like retro soccer or retro something, and they're both on Apple Arcade. I'm pretty Apple Arcade obsessed in general. It's if you play mobile games,
I don't
Apple
play
Arcade
any
very
mobile
good.
games.
So
All right, Ariel, what's your obsession?
Oh boy.
Are you an obsessive person?
Not usually. I mean, like in my own brain, like anxiety, it's like an obsessive
right.
cycle, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
tend to obsess over.
But you don't
like,
hyperfixate.
specific. No, but I do have this problem right now where, so I used to just watch reality TV when I'd work out, and that was the only time I'd watch it. But now it's like bleeding over into my everyday life, and there's like so many shows, and I just keep like watching more of them, and it's like it's becoming an issue.
Yeah. Are you watching what's that one? The big one now.
Love is
Bars.
Blind.
Why can't I think of the name?
I have watched a few seasons of Love Is Blind.
I've watched all of them.
Bachelor Golden Edition or whatever it's called.
No. I've actually never watched any of the Bachelor shows, but definitely like Real Housewives, Below Deck.
I was gonna say Vanderpump
Yeah.
Rules.
Oh,
That's what
Yep,
God,
Vanderpump Rules. Yes.
My
I'm actually
wife,
fairly
you
caught up
guys,
on that one.
she's deep on all those. Okay.
Yeah. Casey, what's your obsession?
Well, my unhealthy obsession right now is reading the news every morning. Like
Oh,
it's
does
bad
that
for my
count?
blood.
Shit.
it's bad for my
Yeah.
blood pressure, and I
Try
read it too.
working
Yeah,
in
that's
it,
fair.
brother.
Oh, I know, but I get to the point where I read it to make myself mad, and it's gotten out of hand. So I'm working
Well,
on
you
that.
you just described like every cable news network's business model,
Yeah.
getting people mad so they come back.
Oh, I'm totally a mark for it right now. Yeah, but my other obsession right now is probably closer related to Rose in that it's work related, but I'm obsessed with role-based access control. And you probably don't want me to define it for you.
Casey. Don't know what that means.
No idea.
Yeah, I'm definitely a hyperfixator. It's actually partially why I tend to like stay away from games because like shit'll take. I mean, I used to read like patch notes for Fortnite and be like, okay, what gun was nerfed? Like what? Like that's how deep I would like go with like physics changes and shit. It was a lot. My dog is dying here in the background again. My current, I mean, I've been talking about it. It's Deadwood is my current obsession. Honestly, I've yet to finish it. I'm in season 3. My favorite thing about that show is it ended up being way funnier than I ever expected. Like it is such a goddamn funny show. That dude, Ian McShane, is incredible.
I love him.
Like,
So good.
so catching up on 20-year-old discourse on that show. And I've been getting back into just producing music, and I've been like studying a bunch of guitar stuff. So that's kind of been my current fixation. Playing guitar is hard, John. Like if anybody...
I tried for like
You know what's even more
a
hard?
month and a
People
half
who
when I was
play guitar
15.
and sing at the same time.
Oh,
That is black magic. I don't know how you do that, and it's incredible. Whoever can do that.
dude, I've played bass guitar since I started playing bass guitar in 7th grade in middle school, and I still cannot play that fucking thing and sing at the same time to save
It's
my
crazy.
life.
Like, did you? I mean, you're just doing 2 fully different rhythmic things. It's wild.
Yeah.
All right, we got another good one from Levi. Who is your favorite lady in horror? Shirley Jackson, Barbara Crampton, Elvira?
Shirley Jackson. I mean, it's a very wide range there.
I mean, you could pick others, John. I think they were, I think Levi was just...
That's a...
I do really love... I don't know that I've seen her in anything I actually super liked, but I love Barbara Crampton's whole vibe of like... after 20 years of just like leaving, after her 80s horror run, she did soaps in the 90s for a while, and then basically like just went and was a mom. Like that's what
She mommed it up.
She actively was like, I'm gonna just be with my family, whatever, and then really like got in touch with this online fan base and really dug in with like the horror community, and she just seems like she's like living it up. It's really cool to watch.
That was going to be my vote, was Barbara Crampton, for
Yeah.
the same reasons. I mean, I just love the enthusiasm she has for horror movies, and that she's come back 20 years later and just as enthusiastic about it and putting a bunch of them out there. It's a blast.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody put her in something that I like.
Yeah.
That's not her fault.
Did you not like that vampire one she was in?
It was okay.
All right.
What was it?
That's
What
one
was
with
I don't remember what it was called, but it was fun.
Isn't Larry Fessenden in all of the ones she's
Fessenden.
in?
Yeah, that's the one where
A lot of
her and Fessenden get it on in that one, John. On the floor. Remember that?
Again, isn't that's like half of the movies that she's been in? I feel like.
It's like he's like a preacher, right? Isn't that the
Yeah,
deal?
I feel like I watched that. It all kind of.
It's like
that-
Jacob's wife or
Yes, it was
Oh,
Jacob's
yes.
life.
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked We Are Still Here.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to rewatch that. When I hear that name, I think negative things, but they're generic, so I don't remember what I didn't like about it.
I was just gonna say Elvira's cool. She's
Yeah.
She is.
Elvira
She's a
is
funny lady.
I wasn't going to vote for Elvira just because I think she's at that icon level. So, I mean, everybody likes Elvira.
But isn't that the question?
What about you, Ariel?
Rachel and I are obsessed with the director Julia Decor now, and we really, really want to get her on our show to interview her, but so far it hasn't happened.
Yeah, she's got a long career ahead of her before
Yeah.
we can. That's like
What has she done?
That's Raw and
Raw and
Titan.
Yeah.
Titan.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Like agree, but also
I would wanna
like,
interview
let
her
her make
just-
3 more movies for
I would want to interview her just so I could ask a
Alright,
bunch of
fair, fair.
specific questions about that sex scene in Titan and the logistics
Right?
of it.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get it.
Here's my thing. I see a movie like Titan or this movie we just watched, and I'm like, whatever you're doing right now, just go make more movies. Like I do not want to wait 4 years for another Laura Moss movie.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I
let's
wish,
just
like,
fucking
funding
go.
was
What's the
easier,
problem?
Like, just
Yo,
make
call me up. I will help work on that problem. Like, let's go. I want more of these movies.
We're going to pass your number along.
Please.
Those were questions from Levi, so thank you for that. Moving over to Slack here, people helping us out. From Mondo, would you rather have to spend all day with this kid or the one from the Babadook? This one's way quieter.
This kid, for
True.
sure.
Way quieter. Basically lobotomized. So yeah, it's fine. Oh man.
Poor Babadook kid. That's tough.
I know.
Webby-
When he's just like building stuff. I think he's a really cool little kid. He just screams a lot.
I know there's backlash. You can't say that now, John. You can't say you don't like the Babadook kid because he's got his own fans now. I saw John. Oh, I sent you guys the meme. This is totally unrelated, but it's of Keanu Reeves from Knock Knock,
Yeah.
where he's buried in the ground with the phone in front of his face, and it's playing Halloween Ends, and he's like, "No."
It's the best. It's the best. When is Exorcist? Wait, how many weeks do we have?
The
for
Halloween
that?
Ends apologists. It's
About
that time of year, John. They're starting
3 or
to
4
come out
weeks, Schnars.
The
Yeah, they're
Halloween
coming
Ends
out
apologists
strong.
are starting to come out of the woodwork again,
Like-
John. You know what it is? This is
Where
what it is.
are
It's
they
like,
though?
It's like
they
they
got
it's
it. That's
Twitter.
like a Russian
They're on
different.
X.
It's a Russian disinformation campaign.
No, no.
Just
they
stop.
pop
They're
up. This is
trying
what
to,
they do.
like,
They
take
pop
down
up
our
their
government.
heads, and they send out a medium hot take about how right. Remember when everybody just trashed that movie and they were like, "Am I the only one?" And they're looking for validation, John. And there's always like a couple people. It's not crazy, but like it'll happen because time makes people lose their minds. Like,
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, and I've seen people on Twitter and Instagram and stuff saying like it's like Halloween 3, like we want to do this anthology thing, and this was the first one. The problem is that it was the end of a trilogy. It was not the start of an anthology.
literally no
version
part of that.
Halloween.
There's no logic in any part
No,
of that. It doesn't make
it's
sense.
stupid.
And
Those
to
people need to
besmirch the
believe-
name.
to know that they're
Halloween
wrong. So let's. I don't know. Just don't go on social media.
It
as
always
I've
makes me
said
think, John, about
literally thousands of times.
It always makes me think, John, about how I used to 15 years ago pontificate on the show about how kids then were going to grow up and write like glowing look backs on the Star Wars prequels, and you were like, no, that's not going to happen. No, that's not going to happen. And then like literally that's just accepted now that there's people that like the Star Wars prequels.
Oh, but there's people that like anything. Just to be clear.
No, but it like
Yeah.
John, I am psychic. Like what I said was going to happen actually happened. You were continued to not be in the internet for any of it. But believe
But
me,
Eric,
it happened.
like a bunch of people on the internet doesn't mean a fucking thing. Like that's
Schnars,
the thing. Like
I've
those
lived-
movies are still bad. Like they're
Yeah, but
just-
then
Schnars,
bring
I
back
have
the
lived
actor.
Eric's Star Wars look back scenario in real life with Delaney's fiance because we got in an argument that he liked the prequels.
Yeah, and what is he like 23 or 5 or something? Like,
Yeah, he's like 26.
yeah. There you
I
go.
mean, look, it's fine if someone's like,
Stupid
I like
kids.
them, but if they're like, they are objectively like well-made films, that's
Yes,
where you have
John,
to just
those
be like,
people are-
that's
Those-
not true. Like that's actually like objectively false.
It's one of the
That's not even a
consequences
They
of Trump's
exist.
opinion.
This is Trump made this worse because we live in a post
I don't know.
world
They-
now.
like, yeah, there's just some things that are not good
Sometimes
because
this
they're
is
poorly
this
made.
is the divide between like Gen X and millennials and like Zoomers is like sometimes you're just wrong. You're not always right, John.
No, well, if you're saying I like something, that's different than saying it is good. And like those are just different. Like one is an opinion, and one is like, it's like things can be bad, but you can like them. Like there's lots of things that are bad that I like.
I just like getting you riled up, buddy.
People love trauma films. Like they're objectively fucking crazy and like ridiculous.
Same.
Yeah. So
Okay, we got a couple more on Slack. This is from Webby. Where do each of you think they crossed the line in this movie? What's your that's too far break point for testing based on the characters from the movie? I mean, jerking off guys in bars, bathrooms, and getting yourself pregnant and then aborting yourself. It's pretty, like, you're not
You wouldn't do
technically
that?
hurting anyone else directly, but that's pretty messed up.
all of that I am fine with. Taking a body out of the hospital without anyone's consent, including the mom, like putting that mom through a situation she doesn't know where her
Yeah.
daughter's body is, it's just like that's terrible.
It's so cruel.
Yeah.
Even though the mom is okay with it in retrospect, it's still bad. That's
To
the
be
line.
fair, to be clear though, John, you're fine with milking the dudes in bars.
Yeah,
You're fine
totally
with that
fine.
part of it.
Whatever. That could just be like a fetish she has. Like that's cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm not here
There's
to
something
judge someone's
there.
fetish.
There's something there. All right, it's good to know. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole dramatic crux of the movie is like that slow ratcheting up of like pushing the line of what's acceptable for sure.
Yeah.
But she does like, and I think I get it. She accepts what she has done. Scrubs lady accepts what the other lady has done very easily once she discovers that her daughter's alive. And that's kind of the whole point of the movie, is that like the things we'll do to
Or
protect our children.
justify after the fact by the results.
That's it for Slack. Casey, I did post on Threads. You could check.
I did check. Sadly, there hasn't been any posts yet.
We got okay. I guess we got one more. Let me just check Twitter quick. I doubt there's anything, but
I got a quick movie question while Eric's looking. Over the course of the movie, then we've got this extra formulary part of the concoction that's going in there where they aspirate the bone marrow.
oh,
Did that allow them to grow their own ingredients indefinitely, or was that just a stopgap?
I think it was just a stopgap measure
Okay.
because otherwise she wouldn't have needed to
Yeah.
go after the lady.
I'm not a scientist, but I think there's different types of stem cells, and
Yeah.
like stem cells being like cells that haven't decided what type of cell they are, and in bone marrow is one of them, but they're like not. I don't know. They're not the good kind. They're not the best kind.
okay. Nothing on social, but we do have one more from our friend Rachel.
Oh, Rachel.
If you could sacrifice a body part to create life, what would get the chop? And it has to draw blood.
Well, hold on. Is this like
very Rachel
revivifying a child? Because then it's like,
Sure.
If
that's
it's any,
like, that. Any parent is going to be like, you give a lot. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a parent, but like for my sister's kids, I would like give a limb. Sure. But if I get to choose the body part, can I just choose like my pinky toe or something?
exactly.
It's like,
What if I gave
My
just
earlobe?
my knees?
I cut some of my hair off, at least.
What if I gave just my knees and then it's like a King of the Hill grandpa situation?
Yeah, I have to give your shins.
Can we just like,
What's his name?
and then I really
Cotton.
wouldn't be able to reach
Cotton.
anything. That'd be a real bummer.
I lost my shins in Korea.
Dude, Cotton.
I lost this shit.
Holy shit. I forgot about that character. That's amazing.
I'm with Ariel. I'd give either pinky toe for any of you to save you, because I've broken that stupid thing so many times. I don't care if it's there or not.
Don't you think pinky?
Exactly.
Don't you think pinky toe is like critical to
It's really important
balance?
for balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like Casey's balance, it's going to go eventually anyway.
I feel like you're better off getting rid of like. I feel like you're better off getting rid of like the second one in from the right.
I don't know, John. I've got a lot of center of balance, center of mass there.
Touche.
Next week we are doing The Creator because I want
we're
to.
taking a little horror flyer here. It's a sci-fi
'Cause I-
flyer, I should say.
Because I want to. Is the answer.
And it looks
to why.
cool.
It
Before
looks
anyone
good.
before anyone asks me or gets sassy about it, it's because I want to do it, John, and I do what I
Great.
want.
Good for you.
Yeah. So John, you're out. Rachel is joining us, and I believe Mr. Joe Ferry will be joining us. So it's exciting. Ariel, where can people find you and the Zombie Girls crew?
Yeah, so it's Zombie Girls, spelled GRRLZ. You can find our podcast network wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us at ZG Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And Rachel and my podcast, More Deadly, where we did interview Laura Moss last month. You can find that at More Deadly.
Love it. Thank you. That's going to do it. Hope everybody's enjoying their spooky season. And we'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.